Hello, everybody. This is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Welcome once again. This is Brother Ron, and you're listening to and watching We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. You are too kind. You could have been anywhere, doing anything, watching or listening to anyone, but you chose me, the one and only Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. Supposed to started yesterday or last night, but it's the second Mercury retrograde of the year. The first day of the second Mercury retrograde of the year was yesterday, May the 10th. And I've been trying for the last 30 minutes or so to get on the air because the universe soul God has been downloading a lot of information to me. I've been trying to sort it out in my mind, been keeping myself very busy and preoccupied. And I know I'm going to lose a lot of you all. Maybe not, but I hope some people will hear me out on what I'm going to say tonight, because I don't have the energy like a lot of people to go live every time to talk about everything. I don't think I could do the 6-hour marathons that I see people doing, talking to listeners. Now, if people get hip to what I'm doing, and if I get some good responses and feedback, I might open up some phone lines, but I need your support because we all be in it to win it. And I want to talk about tonight. There's so much to talk about. I'm a Memphis Grizzly fan, so I want to make sure I do this. I wanted to do this last night, but I want to do it before the game comes on later on today. The game is rigged. I can remember when Steph Curry's wife said what she said, several years ago when he was unanimous MVP, the first unanimous MVP, league MVP in history. What was that doing when Golden State played Cleveland? Was that year when she said the game was rigged? This is the wife. She was the wife of the reigning first unanimous MVP in league history, Steph Curry, and she had the nerve to tell the world, to amplify that the game is rigged. And we all know, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, this is my saying to all you loyal legions of Golden State Warriors fans, be humble, because that 3-1 could easily be in the Memphis Grizz' favor. We all saw, it's like a Zapruder film. Dan Rather, he said he saw the Zapruder film about JFK. He said, well, the president head went a certain way. Then several years later, the public got a chance to see the Zapruder film for themselves on Geraldo Rivera's show, Good Night America. And guess who was the special guest on that show? The one and only, my Jegna, your Jegna, Baba Dick Gregory. And we all saw that the head went a certain way that really contradicted what Dan Rather said, but Dan Rather got that bag, and the rest they say is history, right? So we all saw what happened with Jordan Poole playing dirty pool, very dirty pool player, yanking at the knee of Ja Morant. And I won't wish that on anybody, but we all see that, like in the words of the late, great, immortal Dennis Green, that coach, he said, they were who we thought they were. You are who we thought you are. Some stuff like, they are who we thought they are. It's because like the Grizzlies almost pulled that off. And I was very impressed with the Grizzlies. They show how deep the Grizzlies is as far as a team. They're a great team. And Morant is just that straw that stirs the drink. But, I mean, they almost pulled that off. They were playing some fantastic defense. The only problem they had was some silly turnovers, and they couldn't make their free throws. Had they made their free throws, even with some of the silly turnovers, because they played some great defense, the Grizzlies could have put out a major upset. But it show you how Golden State Warriors are really playing scared right now, trying to pull out all the stops and whatnot. They're really, when they see the Grizzlies, they're watching their younger selves. So I hope the Grizzlies will make a rally. This is now a best-of-3 series, and they come back to the hometown, walking in Memphis to do their thing. So let's see if they can put out a major upset, even with or without Ja Morant on the floor. So I want to talk about what I want to talk about tonight. I'm trying to get the room up. The room, come on in. Everybody come on in. Want to share a couple words from your good friend, Brother Ron. Brother Ron want to share some words with you. This Kevin Samuels thing is very fascinating to me. I've been looking at all the great content, pro and con. Kevin Samuels coming out, and we had the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, turn up, Mr. Turn Up. We had him on Sunday for Mother's Day, talking about some of the things in the news cycle. He talked about Kevin Samuels, and you can only wonder, God forbid, I hope it'll be a long time from now when the judge make his transition to Valhalla or Valhalla, whatever you call it. You think he's a Viking? I don't know, but what they'll say about the judge, because he's a polarizing figure, just like Kevin Samuels is a lightning rod, a polarizing figure. And to me, that's a sign of greatness, because anytime you could become a polarizing figure, that means you made an impact, that your presence was felt. You understand? It's not about being liked. Because a lot of times, black folks, we get caught up in this, ooh, I think they like me. I think they like me. Ooh, I think they like me. You get caught up in the like instead of being caught up and more concerned about being respected. Because people can like you, not necessarily respect you. And it's folks that definitely can respect you, but not like you. Like means to me, not necessarily any type of commitment taken of granted, but Kevin Samuels was unapologetically him. And to be authentically you, to be authentically yourself in the world that thrives on fakeness and deception, makes you, in a lot of ways, unpopular, but also very much in demand. Because Kevin Samuels, in some sectors, was unpopular, but he was very much in demand. So that's interesting how that works on. But his presence was felt. And what I'm seeing play out is very fascinating, because Kevin Samuels has left a huge void in terms of a leadership vacuum in the movement, this manosphere, this black manosphere, but also a lot of non-black men and males identified with Kevin Samuels' message. It was actually a very universal message, if you think about it. And a lot of women were in agreement with his assessment. But to be a truth teller in a world built on lies and deception is to be a very unpopular and hated figure in certain sectors or sectors of society. So I want to talk about Kevin Samuels from, maybe a historical context. Maybe y'all think it's a foolish narrative. Maybe y'all think it's more Afro-futuristic. I don't know, but people kept on saying, I saw on Twitter, somebody made a reference. I was on Kara Dangerous talk show, and we talked about the passing of Kevin Samuels last week. Shout out to Sister Kara Dangerous, and y'all support Kara Dangerous talk. But somebody made a reference that you're going to see a lot of comparisons to, Kevin Samuels being Malcolm X. And that was something that I laughed at. Not really laughed at, but like, oh yeah, that's not. Then I started thinking about it. No. For this day and age, Kevin Samuels was Malcolm X. Yeah, he was Malcolm X. We're going to break it down. But also, something that I had an epiphany tonight as well, too. They call Kevin Samuels the Godfather, right? Right? So, you think about the Godfather, Americans love the mob. We love the mob movies, whether it be Goodfellas, Godfather, Casino, Sopranos TV show. America's got a fascination with the mob. And I started thinking about it, who would Kevin Samuels be as far as a historical mob figure? You could pick a couple of people, but the person that I kept on thinking about was the one and only Arnold Rothstein. I would compare Kevin Samuels, as far as what he did, to Arnold Rothstein. Arnold Rothstein really was the godfather of modern organized crime. Now we talk about, people say Lucky Luciano is he's the founding father of modern La Cosa Nostra American organized crime. But who trained Lucky Luciano? Who taught him how to have swag like a boss, how to dress like a boss, how to act the part? It was Arnold Rothstein. He taught them guys how to dress themselves, how to do tailor-made suits, how to conduct themselves, how to work the room, work the politicians. He was the Jegna for the Lucianos and the Meyer Lanskys and the Bugsy Siegels and the Frank Costellos. It was Arnold Rothstein, who died under questionable circumstances during a card game in a hotel in New York City back, I believe, 1928. And he actually bet on the presidential elections, but he's also he's famous or infamous for allegedly fixing the 1919 World Series between the Chicago White Sox and the, I think, Cincinnati Reds, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all can look all that up. Take a look. It's on your phone. It's online and on your phone. It's a smartphone for a reason. But I think that, because, he started out as a tailor, right? He was an image consultant. He had a company called Made Man at one point. He was a serial entrepreneur, Kevin Samuels. So he believed in dressing the part and acting the part. But then he summoned a few acolytes or proteges up to New York right before he passed away, right? Now you have the now famous legendary photo with him and some of his acolytes, or we call acolytes or proteges. Like Dennis Sperling is taking the lead in controlling or helping push the narrative of Kevin Samuels along, and the lead attorney, he had to sit down with Kevin down in Miami. I mean, it's like some gangster stuff. You call them to New York, you summon them to Miami. Those are gangster cities, those gangster towns, where a lot of times, and then you look at organized crime history, some of the key developments, in the organization, in the infrastructure, they have those meetings at these places like New York or Miami or Atlantic City, or even Cuba, Havana, but Kevin Samuels definitely played his role. I mean, the world is the stage, right? So you got this picture with these are his lieutenants, or he helping to create the blueprint for the 5 families. He's divvying up the territories to his respective capos. So I mean, this is fascinating to break out. You go deep into the rabbit hole with a lot of this stuff, but he's definitely like the Arnold Rothstein of the game, because he put the shine on the game. He brought it to a different level. I mean, the way he dressed, his approach, his demeanor. I mean, he demanded, or rather, he commanded respect. Whether you agree or disagree with his point of view, he commanded that respect. He had a certain type of gravitas. Now, when he first started off, his interest, how he matured, or he evolved into the role that we now know him as. I mean, because he didn't start off as that at first. He started out in marketing and sales, and he was like, when you first look at something, even shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. I've really been enjoying a lot of his podcasts lately. Very interesting brother, very prolific, profound, and also funny. But I saw he played a little bit of his first encounter with Kevin Samuels on Google Hangouts. He interviewed Kevin Samuels about, I don't know, many moons ago, because you look, that Kevin Samuels looked like kind of young and green a little bit. He still was trying to find his voice. It's kind of like watching Richard Pryor before he became Richard Pryor. You understand? Because Richard Pryor, before he became Richard Pryor, before that Berkeley experience, or before that Las Vegas experience where he basically stopped performing on stage and walked out. So it's y'all, if y'all know the Richard Pryor thing, there's a couple of things like he froze on stage, I think in Vegas, and then he went to Berkeley to open his mind, his world to the possibilities. But at first, he wanted to be Bill Cosby. He didn't have his own voice. I mean, even George Carlin, these are my favorite comedians. They wanted to be Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby wanted to be Dick Gregory. So it's just funny how everybody, before they become who they are, see, we don't celebrate them for being copycats or mimics or mockingbirds. We celebrate them for being originals. So, if you look at the footage from the interview with O'Shea Duke Jackson, because he really connected, I think, from my understanding, I've been getting, O'Shea Duke is really like the connector. He's connected everybody in the manosphere, the black manosphere, the Negro manosphere, as they call it. But, Kevin was not who you thought. If you looked at that interview, you could not see what Kevin became. It's like, well, people, if you ask people like, you played against Michael Jordan, you was his teammate, or you asked his, coach in high school that cut him from the team at that time, did you know that Michael Jordan was going to become Michael Jordan? Most people, if they're honest, will say no. Dean Smith couldn't even see it. But you know what? I'll tell you something. Somebody who probably did see it, and it was Bob Knight. People got an issue with Bob Knight. He's a very polarizing figure. But Bob Knight knew Michael Jordan was going to be great. He also knew that Kevin Durant was going to be great. Because a lot of people say, well, Kevin Durant, he's undersized for the NBA. Bob Knight said, "Nah, he's gonna be great." So you got maybe one person, maybe something, but if you look at that interview, you couldn't see it. At least I couldn't. And then I'm not against Kevin. It's like nobody saw Charlie Parker coming. You know what I'm saying? Charlie Parker wasn't no prodigy, but he was a genius because he had an authentic voice. But he had to practice 14, 15 hours a day to get that technique where he was able to communicate his ideas in his head and manifest them in this matrix. And what Kevin Samuels did, he was a profound student of the game. He wastes no time in studying algorithms and other people's platforms and stuff like that. Just listen to some of the stuff that attorney Sperling been talking on his platform lately since his Jegna pass about how he was telling you got to study this YouTuber, look at these patterns and stuff like that. The only thing that hurt Kevin, he didn't have enough time to create his infrastructure, but he was on his way because he called them guys up to New York, select YouTubers and prodigies. He took pictures with them guys. Y'all see the pictures all over social media, right? So he was getting his team together and he passed. So you look at, okay, it's like Malcolm X. See, I know people who work with Malcolm. I had a chance to talk with people who work with Malcolm, even some of his kinfolk. And I shared it with you all on this platform, We All BTV. Just go into the archives. You've got a playlist with a lot of Malcolm X related content in the, on We All BTV on YouTube, right? So Malcolm didn't have enough time because when he left the nation, he had two organizations, Muslim Mosque Inc. for the Muslims who left the nation with him, who still want to continue their religious practices, observance. And also he had the Organization of Afro-American Unity, which he based off of the Organization of African Unity over in the motherland, in the continent, right? Malcolm's goal was to be more dangerous dead than alive, but he didn't have enough time to set up his institutions and organizations like he needed to. So I could even go and call, and y'all think this is blasphemous. I'm already going down a rabbit hole. Looking forward to reading some of the responses and comments after this video. I'm not looking at the chat room right now. I'll make sure I'll remember to look at it before I get out of here. And I want to thank everybody in advance who have offered donations and support. They go a long way, trust me. But I just want to make sure I give y'all some food for thought. But to be quite honest with you, I think Kevin Samuels would have been a black Muslim 60 years ago, 65 years ago, if he was around the time of Malcolm. Because like the Muslims, they call them, remember like they did that documentary with Mike Wallace and Louis Lomax, the pioneering black journalist, called The Hate Produced, that introduced mainstream white America to the Nation of Islam, and they made Malcolm a household name, right? Not only was the nation highlighted, but it introduced Malcolm to mainstream white America. And you look at the Nation of Islam, people say, well, they were radical and extreme. There really was a conservative group. Elijah Muhammad did not want to get involved in the mainstreaming of the civil rights movement. He was more concerned about, running his businesses and, real estate and all those holdings and stuff, and just taking care of his organization. He wasn't interested in trying to get involved to make political statements and stuff. Really, it was hands off, and it really held Malcolm back because Malcolm was a political animal, but also, he was a minister within the organization. And like when, for example, when Malcolm wanted to go to war with the LAPD over the killing of one of the Nation of Islam's Fruit of Islam soldiers, Ronald Stokes, out in LA, Elijah said, "No, brother, you cannot go to war. You can," because they want to do guerrilla warfare. I look at that thing, Godfather Harlem. It's a lot of historical fiction, but Bumpy and Malcolm knew each other. Especially Malcolm knew Bumpy from his hustling days as Detroit Red. And from my understanding, lieutenants and stuff, that Bumpy did offer Malcolm protection towards the end. So I think Malcolm had a way to secure guns from a Bumpy Johnson in order to go to war with the LAPD. See, it's so much stuff that we don't know that you got to do some research on. It's out there, but it's not really talked about enough because a lot of us, we really want sensationalism. We don't want to take time to dig into the crates, as they say, to find all these gems, these hidden nuggets and stuff like that. But my cousin, Julian Mayfield, he worked with Malcolm. Malcolm just stayed with my cousin in Ghana. They would travel around Africa together, him, and a select group of people, including Maya Angelou. So my cousin used to secure guns for Robert F. Williams, and I believe Bumpy Johnson was the point person. He'll go to New York, the Catskills or somewhere, and get the guns and bring them to North Carolina to Robert F. Johnson and Robert F. Williams. Excuse me, I'm thinking about Robert Johnson. To his birthday on May the 8th. Observation, but yeah, I could see definitely. I could easily see Kevin Samuels being a Muslim. Even I say he reminded me of Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Khalid Muhammad died at 53 too. Now they keep on saying that Kevin Samuels in the mainstream media is 56, 57. He's 53. The reason why I know this because shout out to Sister Dana with the data. He called into the show, to her show when she had Judge Joe Brown. It's the Man Up show now, but Kevin Samuels called into their show back on March 25th, 2020. And she just re-uploaded the show to her channel. Check it out. It's worth listening to. And that was March 25th, 2020. And he kept on stating he was 51 years old at the time because his birthday is March 13th. Now, Dennis Sperling and some other sources have been saying he was born March 13th, 1965. But if he stated he was 51 2 years ago on that show, which took place on March 25th, 2020, that means he was 53 when he passed. So I don't know why the media loves to get people ages wrong. The journalists, that's why we got to understand, because I get interviewed by so-called mainstream journal organizations, and the journalists, they will record me and they call themselves quoting me, but I would say, well, I didn't say that like that. You made up some stuff. You recorded me. We talked about for about an hour, and y'all put out some other stuff that said I said that. I didn't say that. Well, this is how we do. See, it's like psychology. Cause you gotta understand that, like what Brother Malcolm understood, that the media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. See, Kevin Samuels was he called himself what? An image consultant. Malcolm was an image consultant. He started a newspaper, Muhammad Speaks for the Nation of Islam. They had no newspaper before Malcolm started that. Because Malcolm would tell, he said, one of the major problems with the black media is that you always in a reactionary position when it comes to your own story. You wait for the white folks to provide the lead on a story that concerns you instead of you being proactive in providing the narrative. And instead of always countering the narrative, create the narrative. And that was Kevin Samuels doing. He was very media savvy. He understood the power of the image. So he's just like Malcolm on that. And he was no nonsense when it came to investing in the black family. And like I said, he had conservative values. It's like the Nation of Islam had conservative values. Brother Malcolm was conservative when it came to the family. All Kevin Samuels had to do was replace that tie with a bow tie. He fit right in with that talk. And then with Khalid Muhammad and Brother Malcolm and Kevin Samuels all had in common is that you had a lot of celebrities, a lot of black celebrities supported Brother Malcolm and Khalid Muhammad behind the scenes. Even you saw towards the end how, people like Future and Nicki Minaj and even Marlon Wayans and T.I. Well, Marlon Wayans and T.I. came to his defense after his passing, unfortunate passing. But you also look at Nicki Minaj, giving him some type of credibility with her generation, with the hip hop people, or Future even giving him some type of credibility. And the fact that, this upcoming Thursday, I think on Thursday, Atlanta, the TV show Atlanta is going to be featuring Kevin Samuels in the show. Ain't that interesting? Because you think that, Malcolm did this thing back in Berkeley. He was interviewed in Berkeley. I think, was it 63? It's on YouTube, I think. He was talking about how black people are the only group of people on the planet that their leaders are comedians and trumpet players and singers and stuff like that. And truth be told, it was a lot of these trumpet players and singers and comedians that supported Malcolm behind the scenes. We already know that Malcolm had a relationship with Baba Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory supported Malcolm, but also people like Lena Horne, perhaps. He would be a guest of honor at the Portiers. Before seeing him be married white, before he started marrying and sleeping white, his first wife was a black woman, and it would help people over like Malcolm. like the thought, provocateurs and interesting people, they're mixed up. Malcolm was confronted by Lorraine Hansberry, the woman who wrote the playwright behind A Raisin in the Sun. Her and Malcolm share the same birthday of May the 19th, and they both died in 1965. Lorraine died early in 65 at the age of 30, too young, and Malcolm died in February at the age of 39, way too young. So these folks, Lorraine Hansberry confronted him. I think he said something about her relationship with her white husband or something, and he apologized. He said, "Look, sister, I misunderstood the position, whatever, da da da." Malcolm had no problem to admitting when he was wrong about something. It was an interesting trait to have for a leader. And also, people that knew Malcolm that I talked to, that they say he was very shy one-on-one. Like he was a firebrand out in public, but he was very shy to himself. But also, he was very funny, according to Baba Dick Gregory. He was, he could crack a joke with the best of them. Because people forget that Malcolm used to wash dishes with one of his good friends, Red Fox, at Jimmy's Chicken Shack in Harlem back in his hustling days. And also, Malcolm was good friends with Billie Holiday. And sometimes he would play drums. See, when you go to a Malcolm rally, he would have entertainers open up for him. People like Max Roach and Abby Lincoln would perform before Malcolm get ready to speak before the audience on the street, or even Esther Rose. Damn, Jane. She'll perform before Malcolm will get to speak before the people on the streets. And Kevin Samuels had a lot of celebrity supported scenes behind the scenes as well. He moved to Atlanta, making his rounds, and right before you're about to cross into the mainstream of things, he's dead. And now, the Atlanta show is going to feature him in their upcoming show on Thursday, I believe. Kara Dangerous, shout out for sending me the trailer on there. I think it's going to be this upcoming Thursday. They're going to have Kevin Samuels on the show. So even Khalid Muhammad, you had support from celebrity behind the scenes and also in front of the scenes. Ice Cube was close to at one point with Khalid Muhammad. They featured him in rap songs and stuff like that. Ice Cube shot him out in rap songs, right? Scarface, all this stuff. Same thing with Malcolm. It wasn't Spike Lee that brought back Malcolm X. It was hip-hop, rap, the young people, the youth looking for leadership. Well, there was none. They brought Malcolm back. They resurrected the memory of Malcolm. And so with Kevin Samuels, I mean, like I said, he got co-signed by Nicki Minaj, of all people. And some people say she's the greatest female MC of all time. Then Future, very high commodity himself, And then, like, some people say they act like they didn't know him. I said, whatever. They did Malcolm like that too. They did Khalid Muhammad like that. Khalid Muhammad had support from different types of people behind the scenes, but they didn't want to be seen. You understand? Because people know their role. If you look at Malcolm, if you look at Khalid Muhammad, if you look at Kevin Samuels, where they from? They from the Midwest. Malcolm was born in Omaha, Nebraska, right? It was Omaha. Kevin's from Oklahoma City. And Khalid is from Texas. I believe Houston. He was born in Houston, correct? Maybe Dallas. I think it's Houston. Let's look it up. Like I said, it's hard to trust the internet these days. But he was born in Houston, Texas, January 12th, 1948. He's a Capricorn. Malcolm was born May 19th, 1925. He's a Taurus. And Kevin Samuels was born, I believe, March 13th, 1969. So he's is that a Pisces? He got two earth signs. He got this Pisces, but I thought Kevin Samuels, the way he looked and how he talked, I thought he was an earth sign. I thought he was even a Taurus. He died the month of Malcolm. So, I mean, it's interesting. But like I said, Kevin, they all had conservative. And all these guys, they spoke about, they were advocates for black masculinity and black manhood. Whether you like that or not, these were men. They spoke their mind. They spoke their position. They stood on their square. They was unapologetic. They were strong. And they were hard to put in a box. They were nice with the mouthpiece. All three of these guys were very nice with their mouthpiece. And they had interesting ideas. And they was willing to be the villain in a system that villainized black people. So really, if you're a villain standing up against a system that villainize your people, you really a hero. Maybe they're the anti-hero. Maybe Kevin Samuels was actually an anti-hero. But what I'm saying is, you guys start thinking about this. You know, anytime a black man stands strong on something called principle, you always demonize, and sometimes they'll send your own people against you. Like Marcus Garvey, they send black folks against Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was made by black people, and they used black people to break Marcus Garvey, the movement. You know, you got to think about it. You know, Marcus Garvey was pen pals with Booker T. Washington. One of the reasons why he wanted to come to America was to connect with his Jagna. He wanted to build a Tuskegee Institute in Jamaica, but Jamaica didn't respect him, so he had come to America. And it was the black Americans that put Marcus Garvey and made him a legend. You know, A. Philip Randolph, the great A. Philip Randolph, gave Marcus Garvey his first important public speaking engagement in America, from my understanding, based on what I researched. Then I say, like, he was mentored by Booker T. Washington, pen pals. His strongest support came from the South. You know, Malcolm Daddy was from Georgia. He was a Garveyite. Rosa Parks people from Alabama, they were Garveyites. I think the strongest state for Marcus Garvey was Louisiana. They supported him the strongest. I mean, these black folks, not just in New Orleans, but in the whole state, that was like his strongest support. You know, he was deported from where? From New Orleans. They sent him back to Jamaica from New Orleans. But it was a dude in his camp named Reverend James Eason. It's hard to find information on Reverend James Eason. This guy, if Marcus Garvey is Elijah Muhammad, then he was the Malcolm X. But here's the thing. From my understanding, Reverend James Eason was going to testify against Marcus Garvey. He was going to become a snitch or an informant, and he was assassinated down this place in New Orleans called the Black House. So they shut him down. I mean, maybe it was followers of Marcus Garvey who did it, but they shut him down. So Reverend James Eason wasn't going to talk no more. And I know Dick Gregory would say on a couple of occasions, I don't know how true it was, he said that Queen Mother Moore helped set up Marcus Garvey. That was, you know, Dick Gregory said on several occasions. He was clear that he was eminent, and she set him up. But, you know, I can tell you one thing for sure, that the first black FBI agent, Agent 800, was recruited to silence or neutralize Marcus Garvey. And that story needs to be told kind of like how they told that Judas and Black Messiah story, but really need to be told really, really good, really, really well, outside of Hollywood, because y'all be here, because Fred Hampton was just 21 when he got killed. I believe Mark Clark, the defense captain, was just 22. You got 30-something-year-old people. Then William O'Neill was in his early 20s, late teens, early 20s. You got people in their 30s playing folks as teenagers, which is not unusual. You know, Stacey Dash did play a teenager in Clueless, and that's Hollywood. They do use younger people, older people sometimes, excuse me, to play younger parts for whatever reason. But that's how filthy and wicked this system is. You'll kill a young person, not even until they're mature. You know, Fred Hampton was 21. They say your brain had developed to you about 26. He wasn't even in his prime as a person. You know, they didn't even allow him to reach maturity. You know, and George Bush Sr. could die in his sleep, almost 100 years old. A full, productive, wicked life, allegedly. I'm just joking, people. I don't know. But anyway, you got to start looking at this stuff, right? So all these guys are the product of the Midwest. Kevin Samuels, like I said, he would fit in with the nation back in the day with Malcolm. I could see him riding with Malcolm, or even Khalid, because it was all about black manhood. And so I'm saying that Kevin Samuels is black manhood. He's our shining black prince. And I ain't follow Kevin Samuels like that. But if you compare him to Malcolm, it makes sense, because Malcolm was our black manhood. He stood up for something. He stood up, you know, straight, back straight, voice loud and clear, articulate, unapologetic, like he was presenting his case like he was a lawyer at the world's court or something like that. And Kevin Samuels was making the case for black manhood and for black family, because you can't have the black family without strong black men leading the family. Yeah, I said we need strong black men. I saw, you know, you got to understand, you know, it's a lot of estrogen running around here. It's out of control, folks. Boys need their fathers. Daughters need their fathers, right? Women need their husbands. Black women are the only women that are consistently lied to about you can do this without a man. Ain't no other group of women that think like that, but black women, and that's programming and conditioning. Men are needed, and men need to be heard. We got a lot of males. We need more men. Boys need men. We need rites of passage. So that what Kevin saying was like, you got on the men as much as you got on the women, and people talking about what it's the way he said it. Y'all so damn weak. No disrespect, because man, I do Dick Gregory for 6 years. That man cursed me out a lot. The stuff he said to me would make some people cry. And people, not only he would say things that made people want to beat him up. I actually had to stop a big mountain of a man from whipping Dick's, beating him to a pulp. The last time I saw Dick Gregory in St. Louis was Mother's Day. I never had boring Mother's Days. My Mother's Days are always interesting. Like, I go to a gas station, listen to Al Green on the speaker, and guess who's singing with a twink in his hand to the Al Green song? It's Al Green. I'm saying, you know who you are? Said, yeah. So that was my Mother's Day. So the last time I saw Bob Dick Gregory was Mother's Day 5 years ago in St. Louis. It was a homecoming sort of thing at the, I think, Helium Comedy Club near the Galleria. It was like and it was interesting because it sold out. It added an extra show. But, it was weird because I saw the guy that Dick was talking to after his last set was a guy that worked in the kitchen. He was about 6'5", maybe 300 pounds, big dude, big mountain of a man that you do not want to make angry, especially if he's handling your food, let alone angry in general. But Dick and them was laughing it up. Then the next thing I know, Dick and his entourage, they went to the elevator, went upstairs, and then this dude started running. And he had people in the kitchen trying to hold this dude back. And I'm saying, man, what's going on? He said that you going off, da. He was going off. I said, wait a minute. You saw how he did me, right? He said, yeah, man, how you gonna? Because Dick went off on me in front of Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters lied on me about some stuff. It was like a VIP group that Dick went off on me on because I wanted to take a picture with him and me and Maxine. And Maxine was going to do it. She lied on me. And I ain't going to get into it too much here, but Dick just read me the riot act. That man went off on me so cold. This is right before his second set. And folks was making their way into the theater. This man said all types of explicitives and all type, anything but a child of God. And I just took it. I said, I can't believe this dude did this to me. And this woman here lying about what I did and all this. Anyway, I stood for the show and I went in. And I was the loudest person laughing because that was the best set I ever seen Dick Gregory did in my life. That man was in a zone. Whatever maybe I helped him by him cursing me out. But his set, he was on fire. That set, I wish I recorded it. I didn't. I don't think I recorded any audio, but that set was amazing. That was the best set I ever seen Dick do. So, Dick, we cool. I'm glad we had a chance to patch some things up. I said, I'm going to give him space. I should have never gave him space. I should have went ahead and saw him when I could have in Nashville and Little Rock, but I didn't. Because, I was disappointed. But Dick, I didn't have no animosity towards Dick. He said, man, sometimes I just wonder, man, are we good friends or are you an agent? I said, agent. Well, anyway, but after the show, we was, talking and stuff, and Dick talked to the guy in the kitchen, this big mountain of a man. And I was looking at them, I was like, they would laugh and get along. And then, once Dick and them about to leave, they went upstairs, the elevator. This dude was trying to run. And we had, it was like several of us holding him back. We said, come on, what's going on? He said, man, this MF is getting disrespectful old bastard. I'm going to beat him down. He was saying all type of stuff. And I said, look, man, you saw what he said to me, how he said it to me, right? He said, yeah, man, how you going to take that? I said, because his words don't define me. He's an old man. He's an entertainer. You could be the greatest person who ever lived, who ever walked this planet. But why does it matter what he thinks about you? It's more important what you think about yourself. So they kind of cool him down. And people say, hey, they were trying to tell him that. and he said something that's really just stayed with me. He said, I can't wait. I hope that MF will die real soon. He gonna be dead real soon. He said like something like that. I'm trying to be PG about it. He said he gonna drop dead real soon. And then that was May, and then August, Dick went to be with the Ancestors. Words have, create worlds. I mean, I'm not saying the dude cursed him, and because Dick was dealing with some health problems, whatever. But that was interesting to do was say, I hope he dropped dead real soon, and Dick dies. Just a couple months later. But get back, I'm all over the place. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Just the venom that people had for Kevin Samuels, celebrating his demise. Like, the dude wanted Dick to die, but also the same thing with Malcolm. If you read the New York Times obituary about Malcolm, they got he wasted his talent. Like he was just a thug, a man of violence, a man of hate. Let's read what the New York Times had to say about Malcolm from back then. I'm not going to read it on air here, but I just want y'all to do the homework. And I did read it before on air. But people like had this venom for Kevin, and it was sad to see, because we all can agree to disagree. Like, I didn't follow Kevin Samuels like that. I did listen to some of his podcasts from time to time, and the stuff I listened to, I said, man, this man's on point with what he's saying. I mean, I like how he said or says it, but he was on point with a lot of things he was saying. But y'all got caught up in the, he making fun of people. Oh, no, you're trying to help people because people been lied to. He trying to give people a choice. See, when people lie to you, they take away your choices. When Kevin told the truth, I'm not saying he told like this, it's the truth. He spoke his mind. He shared his authentic self with the people. And to me, when you share your authentic self with the people, that's a sign of respect. He respects you. He values you and your time. And he doesn't suffer fools lightly because he was a man on a mission. Most of us ain't on no mission. Most of us, we got that punch in and punch out clock mentality. We got that routine, the Groundhog Day mentality, where we do things over and over because it's routine. Kevin was on a mission. When everybody else going in circles, he's going straight. Backwards never, forward, progress. So he, when you on that type of zone, in that zone, on that mission, you look crazy to a whole bunch of people because time ain't on your side. You got to make the most of your moments. And he made the most of his moments. And I believe he fulfilled his mission because the message will outlive the messenger. And like I said, he got disciples already positioning themselves to take his place, but they can't take his place. But you know what I'm saying? It's like very Shakespearean. Remind me when I see Dennis Sperling. I like Dennis Sperling, actually. I like some of the stuff he's been doing. I like how he handled himself. He reminded me of Mark Antony or somebody, like, Caesar's right hand man. He wraps himself in the cape. Oh, Caesar. I mean, maybe he's Paul. Maybe he's one of Jesus' disciples. Maybe Kevin Samuels was a Jesus Christ-like figure for some people. Not for me, but I can see how he could be a Christ-like figure for some people. The so-called historical Christ, he wasn't that popular. He maybe spoke to maybe 30 or 50 people at a time at the most. But yet we still talk about him 2,000 years later. And I'm going to leave people say, well, Jesus he was made up. Whatever, man. I'm just saying, if you look at the narrative, okay, there's some missing years, right? Like Kevin Samuels, to me, it's like he came out of nowhere. Like I said, when O'Shea Duke Jackson sold the first interview, snippets of the first interview he did with Kevin Samuels, he didn't look impressive to me. He didn't look impressive. Even when he called in to the show with Judge Joe Brown and Dana, okay, I like his, he got some interesting points, and Judge really liked his points because Judge has made the same points and all this stuff in his own way, and Judge is a very polarizing figure. But I didn't hear the polarization even when he called into the show. Now, him and Dana got into, some things and stuff like that, but it was no big deal. Just trying to articulate some points of views. We can still agree to disagree and still be agreeable. So that was kind of like that thing, right? So, but I guess the pandemic was really good to this guy. He made the most of his moments, like them TikTok video, World Star Hip Hop, really took him out to the next stratosphere. Like I said, he started out as an image consultant to help men upgrade their appearances, but he ended up becoming a relationship expert, guru, social media influencer, and stuff like that. So to me, he knew the power of controlling your narrative, how to utilize the media to leverage your point of view, just like Malcolm did. Then Khalid Muhammad did the same thing. I mean, look at that classic interview he did on Phil Donahue's show. And shout out to Phil Donahue. That's real media to me, because it educates and informs the masses so they can act. Ida B. Wells, the great, my great Ida Bay. My Ida Bay. It's now her birthday coming up, July 16th. She said, there's no greater educator than the press, because the people must know before they can act. But then this media is like propaganda stuff. So this is what I'm telling y'all. Even y'all think my point of view about this is crazy, I'm giving y'all some food for thought. My thing is to make the people provoke thought, not to agree with me, but just to get you thinking about things from a different narrative or perspective, and add your own flavor, add your own seasoning to the whole gumbo, whatever. But Kevin, Khalid, Malcolm were all media savvy. And they were all black men who stood on masculinity and for speaking their truths to power and to empower. All three from the Midwest. You understand? All three believe wearing suits and looking their best for the part. But people talk about what's interesting. You, Khalid Muhammad and Kevin Samuels, they both died in the ATL, in the ATL area, right? Atlanta area. Both Khalid Muhammad and Kevin Samuels died down in Atlanta, in that area. It's fascinating. They both died at the age of 53. They both died at the age of 53. Malcolm was the 39 when he died, but Kevin, according, if you look at, I'm going by what he said, not going by what Attorney Sperling said, but, he's a family spokesperson, but he said he was 51 on the Judge Joe Brown Dana Data show. That was back on March 25th, 2020. His birthday, March 13th. It's 2022 now. He died on May the 5th. So that would make him 53. You know how they did with Chadwick Boseman? His birthday was a certain date and they changed it to my main mistake. It's just weird how they play with people's birthdays for whatever reason. But so him and Khalid died in Atlanta under questionable circumstances with women. I'm not alleging anything, but I just think because Khalid was married, and then he passed out in his bathroom or something at home with his wife, and then Kevin, he left this in the presence of a beautiful woman. I don't know, I don't know. Allegedly, I don't have no. I'm just saying it's interesting how they went out, and then Malcolm got killed in front of the lady in his life before a captive audience. Out in public, this man got killed before his wife and family, and she was pregnant with twins. So all these guys died in the presence of women that they were closely connected to. So that's interesting to think about, because Kevin said he was trying to unite black men, but his message was so universal. It's like, when you deal with black issues, because we the original people, everything comes through and out of us, if you think about it. So when you deal with black people issues, you deal with humanity's issues. It's like, for example, I talked about Marcus Garvey, right? It was Ho Chi Minh, the leader of the Viet Cong, the Northern Vietnamese. He used to come to America just to listen to Marcus Garvey speak. Ho Chi Minh used to come to America to listen to Marcus Garvey speak. Ho Chi Minh tried to meet with Woodrow Wilson doing the Paris Treaty thing. When they was, after World War I, Woodrow Wilson wouldn't meet with Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh was a great admirer of America. He was a great admirer of the Declaration of Independence. He based his country's independence, Declaration of Independence, off of ours. But it said that Woodrow Wilson wouldn't meet with this guy And he could have probably avoided some conflict decades later because Woodrow Wilson believed in, manifest destiny and all this crap. But yeah, he used to come to America to listen to Marcus Garvey speak, coaching men. So black men, we are the most hated and the most envied and admired men on the planet, it seems. And other men follow our lead, but we don't want to follow our own lead. And therein lies the problem, because Kevin Samuels had a lot of men who were not black that were fans of his, that really respected what he's trying to do. Because like the black man is the original man. Everything come out of the black man. So Kevin Samuels, he got into his roots and stuff like that. Unfortunately, he passed on, but fortunately, he left a lot behind for people to build on. So I really do think he was pro-black family. People talking about, well, his women, whoever, it ain't my concern. Because y'all, to my black girl magic for women that don't even choose black men as their significant other. Y'all out there celebrating Ketanji Brown Jackson, she's sleeping white. And Kamala Harris, I guess she's sleeping white. Kamala Imhoff. Y'all saw her break down. And it's funny to me that people make a big deal out of black women, make a big deal black men dating other people. I know several black women that I have no issue with. They married to white men or others, and they got kids with others. And it doesn't bother me. It is what it is. But at the same time, I mean, you got black men that want to be with black women, but just can't tolerate them right now because the climate that we find ourselves in, that we have become so-called mortal enemies based on propaganda. Black women, like they up here celebrating. I'm in Shelby County, Tennessee, right? And I came across an article, I believe, from the Griot talking about how the Shelby County Commission has so many black women, like maybe a whole bunch of black women. What good does it do me as a black man to always have my women over me, lording over me? You know what I'm saying? They everywhere. Like black women are the gatekeepers for this system. Everywhere I go is black women, and all black women ain't bad women, of course. And a lot of these sisters are cool, but some of these sisters abuse their power, or they work against the black family agenda. And a lot of them don't know it until it's too late. Like if I go to a wedding and you got all these beautiful single career successful black women, but they lonely, got no man, got no family, but they've been told, girl, get your degree, get your paper, get your career. You can have it all. You can't have it all. You got to make some choices. You can't have it all. Nobody can have it all. You got to make choices. I guess them degrees will keep you warm, whatever. I don't know. But a lot of black men would prefer to be with a black woman. We gotta look at, then women say they can't find no good men. Like, how y'all raising these boys, ladies? How y'all raising the boys? Y'all the first teachers. How y'all raising the boys? And that's why black men are needed, because I see sisters, as good as beautiful. I'm glad they didn't abort the kids and all this stuff, but kids be out of, they need order. They need a man. You look at the education system. You got a system that's built on matriarchy. The inmates run the asylum, and then you want a male just to be, the hall monitor, anything but an empower or an educator. Just want them to stand strong and look strong and scary, and not interact, not really lead nothing. And therein lies the problem. You look at a lot of boys, see, there's no place for them to be men, let alone boys. How are you going to have a strong community without the men? So like, Kevin was giving men the courage. Look, even if you alone, stand on something. Sometimes in order to get with somebody, you got to be able to stand yourself. I got to become a friend, an advocate for yourself. You got to invest in self. And Kevin was letting people know you have a choice. You have free will. But if you're not ready to be free, get the word freedom out your vocabulary, like Malcolm would say, because freedom requires sacrifice. You can't have it all. All three of them knew you cannot have it all. You got to make a choice. Can't be half slave and half free. And this is hell, like I said, like you can compare Kevin Samuels like Jesus. It's a lot of interesting comparisons. Like I said, I guess Dennis is he Paul? Is Melanie King Mary Magdalene? The world's a stage. The world's a stage. I don't know. This actually went pretty well. I think I say what I need to say for the moment, but I just want to. This was on my mind, it's percolating on my mind about Kevin and when people say he can't be Malcolm X. Malcolm X can't be Malcolm X. If Malcolm came back today, y'all wouldn't love Malcolm X. Y'all hate him like I hated him back in '65. A lot of black folks hated Malcolm X. And a lot of black people still hate Malcolm X. You like the idea of a Malcolm like you like the idea of a Jesus. But if Jesus came in some flesh and blood and was walking among us, he would be disrespected. He wasn't even acknowledged by his own kind. Malcolm was disrespected by his own kind. Don't you know when Malcolm died, it was a black church that had a dance in the same spot where they assassinated Malcolm? They didn't care about no crime scene tape. They didn't care about, Malcolm got killed here. They had a party a couple hours later. The podium where Malcolm was standing when he got shot down. They just put that in the basement. They was there for decades. They didn't take it into no crime lab. They didn't give a damn about Malcolm. The only reason they had a trial was because one of his bodyguards had a gun, Reuben Francis, and shot Tamal's hair. Had he not shot Tamal's hair in the leg and slowed him down, there would not have been a trial because it was an inside job. The government got rid of Malcolm. Y'all keep on saying, who killed Malcolm? Maybe we're going to have a press conference with Ben Crump. The government did. They admitted as much. Look at the documents. COINTELPRO folks, Bossy program people. Malcolm X chief bodyguard was Eugene Roberts, undercover NYPD, a Bossy agent. And he the same dude that set up Tupac, Mama Afeni, and the rest of Panther 21. Take a look. It's on your phone. Smartphone folks, use it. And y'all trying to figure out, I'm trying to tell them, they don't come clean like you want them to come clean. But what they do, they leave you crumbs. They leave you a paper trail. And they want you to put the pieces together yourself and come to your own conclusions. If I told you there was 9 FBI informants present when Malcolm got smoked, why we don't know the name of these 9 FBI informants? John Ali, National Secretary for Nation of Islam, was FBI. And yeah, he doing Netflix documentaries. Nobody called him out on that, ain't it? How about the footage of the guys who got exonerated? One of the guys who's still around, he had a twin that was there at the Audubon that day. Why they gonna overlook that footage? But what I'm saying is, even with Kevin Samuels, he tried to do what Malcolm tried to do. He tried to hold us accountable, black man, woman, and child, and we hated him for that. We despised him for it. I didn't listen to Kevin Samuels that much. I don't listen to these people. I be hearing y'all. I ain't got energy to be always doing this stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to boost my energy so I can do more of this content stuff y'all crave. I don't be listening to all the people y'all think y'all listen to. Y'all say, well, I listen to so-and-so. I don't listen to people. I listen to me. I spend time with me. I study. I talk to people offline. I spend time with me to get to know me. I research. I create. I manifest. I don't have time to follow somebody else's lead. I follow my own lead. I'm creating my own narrative as we speak. But Dr. King was despised. His biggest enemies were other black ministers. Like I told you, Reverend Wright told us on the eve of the anniversary of his slaying that you had prominent Chicago ministers, black ministers, celebrating with their congregations when they heard the word the king was killed. One of the king's biggest failures was the Chicago housing movement. It wasn't all white folks that was undermining the king in Chicago. And he had to meet with Elijah Muhammad, that famous picture with Dr. King and Elijah meeting back in '66, I believe. I mean, Dr. King was a black Republican from my understanding. He was a conservative. So our greatest leaders were really conservatives. Y'all call them radicals, they really conservatives. And that's another program for another day. I was open up to me. I can imagine what the comment section gonna say. I'm blasphemous and all this, but we don't love Malcolm like we think we do. We love the idea of a Malcolm because we got this idea that we don't want to do the work to save ourselves. We want somebody else to save us. See, this is the problem with the Jesus thing. You want somebody else to die for your sins. You don't want to be accountable for what the mess you made. You want somebody else to pay the price. And that's why we can't get out what we get out of it. You know, I always imagine what was the last words of some of our brothers and sisters that were lynched over the decades and generations. I can imagine a lot of them said, Jesus, Lord, Lord, mama, mama, Jesus, Jesus, Lord, Lord, mama, mama. Nobody came. No cavalry came. See, we keep on talking about, we want somebody to save us. Vote for me and I'll set you free. No, you won't. Nobody can free you but you. John Brown, whose birthday is coming up, he's a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. John Brown knew he could not free the slave. The slave must decide to free himself. All he could do was provide the slave with the resources, if they choose to liberate themselves. You can't, nobody can free you. Y'all keep on saying they free me. No, you got to free yourself. And that's the scary thing. That means, because freedom is freedom. It's not secure. There's no security in freedom. There's none. That's why it's called freedom. A lot of us don't want freedom. We want security. So we're a slave to comfort. We're a slave to anything that keep us from dealing with our true selves, our true authentic selves. And we despise anybody that calls us out on our BS. That includes the Malcolms, the Kings, the Khalid Muhammads, and the Kevin Samuels. Oh, look, he's been divorced twice. He didn't lie about it. He didn't hide it. He didn't hide him being divorced. See, sometimes it's not about, you learn more things in life from your failures than you do from your successes. See, your failures, your disappointments make the success or your successes that much sweeter. You understand? So he know after 2 failed marriages what he didn't want. And he also probably did a lot of reflection, because this guy who studied algorithms and studied other people to be a master at his craft, at his messaging. Sometimes you gotta know what you don't want instead of what you do want. Sometimes that makes it easier to understand what you do want when you know what you don't want. So I've been through a lot of crap with women and with myself, and I still love women. I still like to have relationships of some sort with a woman, but at the same time, I love myself enough. You know what? My happiness is a choice. It's not dependent on somebody outside of me to want to be happy, to want to choose happiness. I must choose that for myself. I must want the things I want for me and understand me better than anybody else, to understand me and to stand for me. You understand? So it's not even important, you know, what people think about me or what I want. It's more important that I know who I am and where I'm coming from, and that I do have a moral compass, a code. Y'all keep on talking about being on code. There's no code. There's none. If you don't have one for yourself, see, you're a temple. You have a building code. You know, all buildings got building codes, right? Do you have one for your temple? Do you have a compass? You know, y'all looking for, you know, we on code. No, man. Every man and woman and child for themselves. Chivalry doesn't exist in the world that cannot deal with accountability. No. But we speak about the New York Times, right? Let me read what the New York Times said about Kevin Samuels. And I might pull up what they said about Malcolm, but I think let's read about what they said about Kevin Samuels, because people don't think you're important unless the New York Times say you're important. Unless you get an obituary in the New York Times, I mean, you're not important. So people are trying to delete Kevin Samuels' Wikipedia page. You know, the sad thing about this dude had over millions of admirers and followers on all his social media platforms, and only after death he receives a Wikipedia page, but they want to delete the page because, I don't know, he's not relevant. But Since the New York Times article came out, I guess he is relevant. Since NBC is talking about him, I guess he is relevant. Let me read what they say. Even they got his age wrong. Somebody got the age wrong. Kevin Samuels said he was 51 years old 2 years ago. So I don't know what's going on. Kevin Samuels, a polarizing YouTube personality, dies at 57. If you like the words from Brother Heard, y'all please spread the word. I'm doing pretty good on time. Because I like the freestyle. I'm not one of the guys that, that be doing a lot of research. Like y'all be trying to get all the pictures and the videos. Man, I just say, let me give the people something. And I know I might lose a lot of subscribers. I don't, it's like at this point, whatever. It'd be nice to get to 100,000 subscribers though this year. I really would appreciate that. If you like what I'm doing, please support it. Endorse it as you will. But I'll read this New York Times article, and I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I want to, I don't know, it's too much anything to talk about, but I have some more shows. I have some special guest appearances. I'll make some special guest appearances. I want to thank everybody who's been supporting the channel over the years. You are appreciated. And know that the best is yet to come. Let's see something. Yeah, I'm going to put the brothers up here as a reminder. And then people say, wow, the light-skinned people always be the most radical, most black this, blackity that. Don't look at my appearance. You got to look at my bloodline. It's my bloodline. I come from revolutionaries. I told you who my cousin was. I told you I'm related to Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. I come from U.S. colored troops. I know my people, my great-great-grandfather, Frank Moon, the Moon brothers fought U.S. colored troops, Battle of Vicksburg. I know my people. I can name my people from the American Revolutionary War. I come from soldiers and artists and all type of artivists and all these other stuff, entertainers, pimps, entrepreneurs, gangsters. We all got that in our trees, man. It's just we got to start researching this stuff. It's out there. So I'm gonna put the pictures up to the righteous ancestors, all them good brothers right there. If I could find. Wait a minute. Let's see. Take that out. It's not the right one. Yeah, Mercury retrograde. I'll try. Okay, that's the right one. So you remember that? Think about this picture. Like I tell about how they demonized Malcolm X when he died, the New York Times. How they try to downsize the effect of Khalid Muhammad, and then how they try to do our brother Kevin Samuels right now. It's crazy, mad world we live in. So Kevin Samuels, a polarizing YouTube personality, dies at 57. Like I said, he was 53. It's New York Times. Daniel Victor, May the 7th, 2022. Styling himself as an image consultant, Mr. Samuels aimed his advice at black men and women, drawing a large following and a chorus of detractors who condemn his views as outdated and cruel. Kevin Samuels transformed in recent years from a personal stylist into a social media celebrity who built a following on an image of plain-spoken, hyper-masculine authority. Kevin Samuels transformed in recent years from a personal stylist into a social media celebrity who built a following on an image of plain-spoken, hyper-masculine authority via YouTube. Kevin Samuels, a YouTube and Instagram personality whose blunt lifestyle advice aimed at black men and women drew a legion of admiring followers and a chorus of detractors who condemned his views as outdated and cruel, died on Thursday in Atlanta. He was 57. His death was announced by two friends and fellow YouTube personalities, Dennis Sperling and Melanie King. Mr. Sperling, who is also a lawyer, identified himself as a family spokesman in an Instagram post. The Atlanta police said he was found unresponsive on the floor of his apartment. No cause was cited. Describing himself as an image consultant, Mr. Samuels had transformed in recent years from a personal stylist into a social media celebrity who built his following on an image of plain-spoken, hyper-masculine authority, usually wearing a finely tailored suit. The approach brought him more than 1 million followers on both YouTube and Instagram, and many of his supporters viewed him as taking courageous stands for what they call traditional values. In his videos and posts, Mr. Samuels urged his followers to adhere to the rigid gender roles. He largely evaluated women for their appearance and youth, men for their assertiveness and money. He criticized women who he saw as too career-focused and asked questions suggesting women's interest in men was based mostly on their income. How much do you charge for submission? The messages were repugnant to many, especially women, who said his views were misogynistic and promoted a brand of masculinity that harmed the men who listened to him. More than 30,000 people signed an online petition asking YouTube and Instagram to remove Mr. Samuels, saying he had galvanized a community of men of all races and nationalities in the outspoken hatred of women. On Thursday, when word of his death first surfaced, Mr. Samuels became one of the leading topics on Twitter, with many of the most amplified voices speaking out against him. Kevin Samuels has basically made a profit and has made his profile consistently perpetuating harmful stereotypes about black men and women, Ernest Owens, a journalist, said on Friday, adding that a lot of his rhetoric and commentary was rooted in misogyny. The comment on Mr. Samuels' YouTube and Instagram videos revealed a community mostly but not entirely composed of men who looked up to him. One commenter responded to a recent video by calling Mr. Samuels an inspiration to black men around the world, and thousands of others indicated support for the comment. Kevin Samuels was born on March 13, 1965, according to Mr. Sperling, who said he was survived by his mother and a daughter. See, it's supposed to be March 13, 1969, according to Mr. Samuels. From his voice, he was 51 2 years ago. Mr. Samuels had an early interest in fashion, telling the Oklahoma Gazette in 2016 that as a child, he laid out my pajamas and made sure they were pressed. He credited his mother with piquing that interest. He attended the University of Oklahoma, where he studied chemical engineering, according to his LinkedIn page. He had a career in marketing before leaving the industry in 2013 and pivoting to his own image consulting firm. An early business went by the name Made Men Image Consulting. So there you go. Little like mafia reference, whatever. Made Men. The Godfather. In the early years, there was a little of the sharp tongue content that would later launch him to stardom, as he focused initially on personal fashion and self-improvement for professionals. People can expect to receive high-level fashion and style ideas distilled down to the practical level that the average everyday man and woman needs, finds useful, and can immediately act upon, Mr. Samuels told Uncovering Oklahoma in 2016. But he later discovered a formula that would help his following skyrocket based on harsh assessments of modern women and dynamics of dating and relationships. Many of his videos seeking to explain why people were not in relationships center on the inherent value of men and women based on a set of traditional criteria. In 2020, in one of his first viral hits, a video that assessed a woman as average at best, received millions of views. He referred to women over 35 as leftovers, echoing a line he claimed was used by the Chinese Communist Party. If you have made it to 35 and you are unmarried, you are a leftover woman, he said. You are what is left. Men know that there is something likely wrong with you. Whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to go there with you. I'm telling you the truth that you don't want to hear. On social media, Mr. Samuels outlined a view of relationships that put men in a dominant position and said women should accept infidelity by men but not be unfaithful themselves. Successful men cheat, he recently wrote on Instagram. Either you deal with it or not. The approach appeared to be lucrative. In addition to whatever revenue he accrued from his followers on Instagram and YouTube, as of Friday afternoon, more than 1,700 people had paid between $5 and $20 per month for his newsletter. Now, they say he was broke, right? You know, Media Takeout, I think, said that he only had $1,000 to his name. Now, he had over millions of followers on his platform. Think about that. And he had, a newsletter They went out to 1,700 people. He said 1,700 people had paid between $5 and $20 per month for his newsletter. Think about that. So let's think about it. Let's do the math on that, right? Let's just say he had 1,700 people pay $5 per month, right? 1,700 times 5. That's $8,500 a month just off the news. If they just paid $5 a month, let's say he had 1,700 people paid $20 a month. Okay, it's $34,000 a month. That's on the newsletter. We ain't talking about the AdSense. We're not talking about the super chats. We're not talking about the cash apps. We're talking about just on that newsletter. How you only have $1,000 to his name? It's like when people believe that Dick Gregory was broke and they had a GoFundMe. You know, like in Vlad TV, some other outlets said Dick Gregory, I think of TK Kirkland, whatever. And my thing is like Dick Gregory, he had intellectual property. He had books he wrote. He was an author, you know, a diet guru, health, fitness. He had properties. He had warehouses full of stuff that he had accumulated over the years. Dick Gregory was living in a condominium when I met him in DC. His wife was staying in Massachusetts, but he lived in a condominium. He was driving a very stylish BMW. When I first met him in person back in 2012, Dick was living a lifestyle that he wanted. Now, he gave up a lot of money over the years. He sacrificed because of his political stances, his humanitarian stance. You know, like I said, Bill Cosby took Dick Gregory's place. You know, Bill Cosby had the career that Dick Gregory was supposed to have, but Dick gave it up for the movement. So he did leave a lot of money on the table. He did, he lost a lot of gigs and stuff like that. But Dick, he was living comfortable. And the reason why the funeral, one of the reasons why the funeral was, it took him almost a month to get his funeral, his own going done and to get buried. Dick Gregory was a icon. So, he died in August, right? But, they want to make sure that they get everybody scheduled. They wanted VIPs to be there to pay their respects. Minister Farrakhan did his eulogy. And people assume, see what I'm saying? You can't look at what they put out in the media and social media. A lot of y'all assume that Dick had issues with Minister Farrakhan because of some of the stuff he may have said on my platform and other people's platforms, how he was very critical of Minister Farrakhan's strategy about boycotting Christmas. But they were very close. Dick was very close to Malcolm. Dick was very close to Elijah Muhammad. Even, and I think Alice Haley, when he did that book with Malcolm, had some misinformation about Dick in the Malcolm X autobiography. There's a couple things like misinformation in that autobiography. That's another story for another day. We all know Dick exposed Alice Haley for being the agent. He didn't really write Roots. It was written by, autobiography of Malcolm X allegedly was written by his Playboy editor, Alice Haley's Playboy editor, Murray Fisher. And then he stole the basis, the blueprint for Roots from this book written by this white dude named Harold Corlander called The African, which came out back, I believe, in 1967. There you go. So you can't believe everything you always read or see in social media as well. So Dick, his eulogy was done by Farrakhan. Yeah, I thought they had beef. So you can't go by all this stuff. Like what I said, there's a lot of celebrities behind the scenes that supported Malcolm, even though he was talking a lot of crazy stuff, in front of the camera. He had a lot of support of certain celebrities. You'd be surprised at the people like what A. Peter Bailey told me, one of Malcolm's assistants. He was a pallbearer for Brother Malcolm. And also he was one of the founding members of the Organization for Afro-American Unity. He told me in person when I met him for the first time in Silver Spring, Maryland, back in 2012, that you'd be surprised at the type of celebrities and VIPs that supported Malcolm behind the scene. They agree with his message, but they could not be seen with him in public, embracing him as such. But they supported, they opened their checkbooks and stuff to him. So same thing with Khalid Muhammad. When it got too hot, when he got he kicked out the nation, whatever, for some of the things he said. And you think about it in hindsight, he was very honest in his assessment about our situation. And think about where we was at when Khalid was walking the earth over 20 years ago, where we at now as a people. We was more on point when he was around. We had more of some hope. You know that his son is Pharaoh Gray, right? He had numerous kids, and one of his sons is the realionaire Pharaoh Gray, the motivational speaker, entrepreneur dude. That's his son. But his son chose a different path, and that's you got to live your own life. But what I'm saying is, Khalid was our black manhood. He stood on something. Like even somebody, my mom, Dr. Heard. I remember I played one of his speeches like several years ago, and she didn't know who this guy was. She said, he sound. I like what he's saying. This is my mama, and my mom, she a Christian, and she in the church, and she we shall overcome and all that stuff. But she liked what he was saying back then. See what I'm saying? Women like a man that's confident and wants to lead and speaks his mind. But not only speaks his mind, but being willing to stand for something and be willing to fight for something and be willing to die for something and be willing to live for something. But this compromise we have made just to get a little peace ain't working for peace. You want to compromise to get a peace, but I'd rather have peace. And we got to have an understanding. And it's a reckoning coming, but Kevin Samuels, in a way, was a prophet for the things to come. Like I said, I'm not a follower of Kevin Samuels. I didn't really listen to a lot of his stuff while he was living. And like he actually really got on the radar just 2 years ago. I mean, he's been doing it, but think about what I'm saying, like that viral moment about average at best. I remember seeing that clip. I think it was World Star or something like that, or Instagram. But that was just 2 years ago. And then now he's gone. So think about the stress he had to be under just to adjust to all the things that came his way in that short period of time. Like I said, if you looked at him back in 2016 or 2015 or whatever, you couldn't predict he was going to become what he became. Not only he's an icon, he's iconoclastic. He's iconoclastic. So I just blessings to that brother. But he is our Malcolm. He's our shining black prince, our black manhood for this moment. For this moment. Like I said, I know it's going to be very controversial for a lot of people to get with that type of assessment. So I guess yeah, Steve Coakley was a good man. I mean, Steve Coakley gave his life for our people, man. You can still find somebody uploaded it. The presentation he did in Memphis back in 2003 during the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Dr. MLK III was there, Dick Gregory was there, Dr. William Pepper, a couple of VIPs. But like the final call, they wrote an article basically claiming that Jesse Jackson and a local minister here named Reverend Billy Cowles were informants or whatever, and they had to retract that. I think the editor of the final call resigned, but Steve Coakley ran with it, did an amazing presentation, the only way that Steve Coakley could do it. But he paid a price for being a truth-teller in the system built on lies and deception. And he was telling people some very uncomfortable truths about ourselves. And, people despise Steve Coakley for it. Dick Gregory, he was on my show. I asked him about the death of Steve Coakley. He said he was murdered. And that could mean a lot of things. I mean, they killed his way to make a living. A lot of radio shows. I remember he was on the show, the Carl Nelson show some years ago with Malanga Karenga, Ron Karenga, founder of Kwanzaa. And he called out Ron Karenga on some stuff. They got into it, and like Dick was saying, he didn't make too many of the radio shows because he was too much of a truth teller. He know how to walk that line. He was too honest, and it cost him. Black America still want to be in the dark. That's the whole problem. We don't want to know about Boule and all that stuff. Thank you, Walt Dees. I appreciate that. I'm the most known. I'm in the city of Memphis right now, broadcasting live across the street where they killed Dr. King, shot him in the face. Allegedly, they smothered him at St. Joseph's. They passed up about 3 hospitals on the way to St. Joseph's. They let you know what time it is. It pays up 3 hospitals to get them to St. Joseph so they can finish them all, allegedly. Thank you, brother. Wow, I received that. Thank you, brother Jesse. Thank you for tuning in. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I think I said what I could say, man. I'm interested here. Thank y'all for the support. Let's get this up to 100,000 people. Let me just get in because I've been getting a lot of information downloaded to me lately, and I want to share it with the people. Yeah, Dr. King did not stay at Lorraine. He used to stay at the Holiday Inn. That's the thing people don't know. Lorraine, he would have community meetings at the Lorraine. The last time he decided to stay in Lorraine, he was not supposed to stay at the top, on the top level, like you said. That exposed him because they originally put him in an area where he had more security and protection, but somebody from SCLC told them to move Dr. King to that room. And it was Reverend Billy Kyles that said, I got to wait so they get a better shot, a clear shot, whatever. Keep on saying that over and over. And he passed away back in 2016. No, I don't think he set it up. I think he benefited from it. I know he benefited from Dr. King getting removed. Jesse was just, how old was Jesse? Like 26. He was young. Because I think when he did he was the keynote at the Black Political Convention in Gary back in 72. Jesse was probably like 30 years old. Let me see. When Jesse was born in 42. I think he's a Libra. When was Jesse Jackson? I think Jesse was born in 42. I'm sorry about that. Just trying to get you out of here. Cause I don't think I can talk too much. Does I have some people on? He was born 41, October 8th, 1941. So Jesse, Jesse would have been Black Political Convention. He probably he's like 30 something, like early 30s. But he like 26 to 27 when King got killed. He benefited from it. The government did it because, like, the gun chain possession, you could trace the gun that killed Dr. King back to the FBI. Chain of possession. Jesus died at 33, Kevin at 53, both of a woman trying to resuscitate them. Ain't that interesting? Like I said, I'm not, but it's funny. Kevin moved to Atlanta and everything kind of fast track for him. The next thing you know, he's out of here. He about to make that mainstream breakthrough, about to take his place because he got that Atlanta spot coming up where he play, I guess, a Robert Smith type of philanthropist in that Atlanta episode coming up. Do the thing with Future, do the thing with Nicki Minaj. Everybody talking about him. Now all of a sudden he out of here. It's kind of like people talk about Vivica Fox, what she said recently. It reminded me of what Janet Jackson. Well, I don't think Vanessa Williams said something about when Tupac died. I can remember when I ain't gonna never forget where I was at and who I was with when I heard the news that Tupac passed away. But I remember when Tavis Smiley used to be on BET when BET actually had news and things like Teen Summit and Rap City. But Tavis Smiley had a show, and he was talking real reckless about Tupac. Vanessa Williams said some things about Tupac. I remember Russell Simmons was on his show not too long after that, because Russell Simmons, I think, called him like an Uncle Tom or something like that. And Tavis did the interview with Russell, and they did the interview. Everything went smoothly until the end when Tavis demanded an apology from Russell Simmons for disrespecting Tupac. And to his credit, Russell refused to give him the apology because he was wrong about Tupac. And years later, Tupac image has been rehabilitated to a certain degree. You look at Kevin Samuels, a lot of people were wrong about him. And I don't care about how he delivered the message. The message is the message. The message is the message. Forget about your hangers about him as a person. The person is no longer here. I know when I was working as a supervisor of a cleaning crew, they used to hate my guts. They couldn't stand me. And I ain't disrespecting them. I just want them to do their job, but I didn't care about being their drinking buddy or friend after work. And I held them accountable. I said, man, you missed that restroom. You didn't get that toilet. You left without dumping that garbage. Respect. If you don't have to like me, but respect the position. See, when you don't do your job, it's my responsibility. It falls back on me. I gotta accept accountability. It's my fault. When I try to hold you accountable, man, these cats will try to threaten my life. You know, these dudes came out of prison, attempted murder, domestic violence, all types of substance abuse problems. Out dealing with these type of people, but they all black crews. But I was always probably the youngest person. I guess they couldn't stand me. They couldn't stand taking direction from a person that was younger than them. And also, you know, I'm college educated, you know, all this stuff, and I carry myself a certain way. They probably didn't like that either. But I was never trying to disrespect them. But they said, I ain't like the way he's speaking to me. I'm a man. I said, I never question your manhood. I'm a man too. But you're going to take out this garbage because I'm a supervisor. And he wanted to fight me and stuff. It was crazy, man. But I was right at the end because at the end of the day, you know, the company was able to get their contract renewed. And I set a standard for the cleanliness of the facility. So I did what I was supposed to do, but at the same time, you know, being in a high turnover industry, I'm expendable as the supervisor. You know, like, oh, well, we short a floor guy. We need these floors to be done a certain way. Well, Ron, we respect what you done for us, but we gotta let you go because, you know, the people, like, they getting upset. They don't like how you talk to them. Well, I wasn't trying to disrespect them like that. I was coming from a place of respect and love of my people, and also wanted to get paid and keep my job, but it didn't help. And like I said, I had lost summer camp jobs for trying to do my job. Well, I thought it was my job, which was to empower our children. Like, you know, I show them Black history, documentaries, art projects, do, you know, research projects. And, you know, it was weird, but, you know, I'm always ahead of the curve. And sometimes when you're a pioneer, you get punished. You don't get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You understand? So it is what it is. It is what it is. But with that said, I think I said enough. Why not? We are our ancestors. See, y'all keep on thinking we don't see. We act like we have such reverence for Malcolm. We would treat Malcolm like a Charleston White. We would treat King like a Charleston White. Come on now. We despise the folks that hold us accountable. We like the folks that want us to make us feel good about our miserable, dirty selves. We don't want the people that want us to tell, hey, your laundry is dirty. Wash your laundry, wash your dishes. Clean up this house. You hoarding bad behavior. Get rid of it. We don't want those type of people around. So y'all like Malcolm, y'all really got this type of reverence for Malcolm, and y'all still voting Democrat. Malcolm told y'all not to trust the Democrats. Y'all still voting Democrat. Majority of us still vote Democrat. And Malcolm told you not to trust Dixiecrats like Joe Biden, but Joe Biden told y'all, if y'all don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. So y'all can miss me. Y'all got such reverence for Malcolm. Please, you don't. Like I said, if Malcolm was around, you wouldn't respect Malcolm. Most of us wouldn't, especially because he's not even a Christian. He's a Muslim. Also, Kevin Samuels was a minister. He was a singles minister in Texas, I believe in Dallas. He talked about, you know, being a minister of a singles ministries for a church. So I mean, and I remember I saw a clip or I saw a show he did. His sister was a recently divorced sister, but her father was a minister. And she was trying to be one of those people, I'm going to pick how to be a Christian or be a wife. And Kevin was holding her feet to the fire. Respectfully, he didn't call out her name and like that. He said, look, since you kind of do this and stuff, I'm telling you, this is, do you want a biblical marriage or you just want a partnership? I mean, he was basically trying to make her hold herself accountable. And he was not doing it in a distasteful way, but it pissed off people because I dare you hold a black woman accountable for anything, including her own life. You know, it is what it is. And that's why I like Patrice O'Neal too. And it's like all the good ones always leave too soon. And you tell that that Kevin Samuels was a follower of Patrice O'Neal, he will quote Patrice O'Neal. And Patrice told a lot of uncomfortable truths. Look up any of his shows he did with Opie and Anthony, or even his great stand-up shows. The Elephant in the Room, I think, was the last special he did before he passed away. Sad day indeed. But anytime a black man speaks his mind and stand for something, we can't stand it. And now, thanks to the likes of Kevin Samuels, the black man is now getting the confidence to say what he always wanted to say, but was too afraid to say to his own woman. See, black men are really scared of black women. A lot of us are scared of our own women. And that's sad. Because y'all talking about white men, but it's the white woman that encouraged the white man to be the way he is. She be whispering all that pillow talk and all this stuff. She's the power behind the throne. There's a reason why a lot of the elite white women didn't care about the vote. They said, why do I care about the vote when I have my man at home? I can whisper in his ear, pillow talk. I'm the power behind the throne. Who needs the vote? The only woman that cared about the vote was the one who didn't have a man, who maybe was playing for the other team. You think about, look at the history of the women suffragists and all this. They all lonely women with cats and all this stuff. But I'm just saying, it's not me talking. Don't blame me, blame history. You had the white woman encouraging the white man to lynch black people. So the white woman know, it's like what Dick Grayson said. He said, I've never been a white woman because, because Frankenstein and Dracula and the mummy came out her pussy. Well, I want to go on something like that, to produce something like that. He said something like that. But anyway, like I said, I'm not a follower of Kevin Samuels, but I respect the man and what he was doing and what he tried to do for our people. And let's put it in the context. Like I said, he called himself the Godfather. It's okay. He is the Godfather of the things to come in the manosphere, the Negro manosphere in particular, but men worldwide had respect for him. And y'all talking about, well, the way he carried himself and all this stuff about, I mean, look, God got an interest in sense of humor. The thing about it is, you got folks that look the part of a man, but they ain't men. You got, athletes, these big old, athletes, strong and fast, but yet they let men who don't have no physique like them tell them how to do things, tell them what to do and when to do it. It's like being an elephant that was raised, tied up to a nail in the ground. And even when you get to an enormous size, you still can't move because your mind is chained to that nail in the ground. You big and strong enough, but you don't know your value. You don't know your worth. So a lot of us don't know our value or worth as men. And we're afraid to move on anything. They're going to take us out the comfort that we know. And it's the comfort of the soft bigotry of low expectations. So it is what it is, but God bless them. Let's get into the. I had a chance to talk with Dr. Francis Chris Wilson as well, too. Yeah, Dr. King was led out to the balcony, and people go to like Dr. William Pepper's the plot to kill King. Like I said, he didn't stay at the Lorraine. He stayed at the Holiday Inn Rivermont. Holiday Inn was invented in Memphis, by the way. Kemmons Wilson, I think his name. I'm trying to read through the comments, and I'm gonna call it a night. I probably drive my neighbors mad, talking loud. Okay. Kevin Samuels was a Black Panther, according to reports, and a tattoo found on his body. I believe Kevin Samuels was a Messiah here to wake up our people. I think Kevin Samuels. See, I think people. I don't feel sorry for Kevin Samuels because he knew his time was was limited. I understand he was a 2-time cancer survivor, right? He had, I think I read somewhere we had COVID twice, and he was just a workhorse, 20 plus hours days, and I don't feel sorry for a man who had left a mark like he left, and people have such strong feelings about who he is and what his message was and is. Job well done. Job well done. He had the Panther spirit, like I said, like he had that ancestral power. He could have been a Panther. He could have been, like I said, he would have been up there with Malcolm. He would have probably been working side by side with Brother Malcolm back in the day. I don't think Malcolm would despise Kevin Samuels. I really don't think. I can't speak for Malcolm. I think people take that out of context about he's saying about the black woman being the most despised. All that may have been true then, it's not true now. I think the black woman has been the most lied to group of women on the planet for the last several decades. Black girl magic without black son. Okay. And yet, where are our Malcolms at? Where are Malcolms? Where are Khalid's at? You talking about, a man that was a male cheerleader being compared to the two of the best men we have seen. Don't you know George W. Bush was a male cheerleader, 2-term U.S. President George W. Bush? What that mean? Yeah, like, okay, if they were so great, why can't replicate no more Malcolms, no more Khalid? Where they at? See, it is a man crisis. Where are the bold men at? They all dead. I mean, where the Megas at? Where the Fred Hamptons? Y'all good at sloganeering and social media hashtagging and all this stuff. Where's the cavalry? Don't want no more Malcolms. They won't even allow him to have a male heir in his family. Don't you know we're coming up on the May 13th, the anniversary of the assassination of his son, of his grandson, Malcolm Shabazz, down in Mexico City. We still don't know what really happened with that. That's how weak we are as a people. We can't demand answers from this government. I remember looking at a documentary on Pat Tillman, the football player who gave up his NFL career to join the Army Rangers or something like that, and he got killed on the murky circumstances. And the government came over for a lie and said this is what happened. And they had this big funeral for him back home, but his family didn't believe the BS. I think his family was a bunch of atheists, but they didn't believe that. They didn't believe what the government was selling, so they found out themselves that he was a victim of friendly fire. It probably, I'm gonna tell you something. It was a former Vietnamese nurse, Vietnam War black nurse. She told me there was a phenomenon called fragging. Some of the black soldiers would kill their commanding white officers in the field on purpose to get back at them for how they was mistreated or treated in training camp or whatever. Pat Tillman could have been a victim of a fragging type of situation where it was not just an accidental friendly fire, like they actually were trying to kill his ass, allegedly. But his family did the work to dig up what was going on, and they exposed it. As a documentary that came out several years ago about it. You should check it out. See, y'all, we don't want no more Malcolms in college. That's the problem. Where's our manhood? We talking about wearing dresses like that's groundbreaking and revolutionary. I mean, like to wear dresses. We like to talk about who we doing in the bedroom. That's how revolutionary we are. Malcolm and them didn't kiss and tell like that. I mean, to each own is out to beholder, right? Now, I agree to disagree. Like I said, I wasn't a follower of Mr. Samuels, but he spoke to something, a fierce urgency of now. And my thing is not about pleasing everybody anyway. If you be a pleaser, you try to please everybody, you please nobody, including yourself. So my thing is, I think people need to be authentically true to who they are, and don't be afraid to stand on a square. Don't be afraid to be who you really are. Don't be afraid about acceptance when you can't accept yourself. Learn to accept yourself and deal with that. People are hard to deal with. You know, like people are checking out of here. People saying enough is enough. I know people that have committed suicide and stuff like that, and just they can't deal. And it is hard just dealing with the demands of modern society, but don't lose yourself in all that madness. And my thing is, the people who took offense, like the saying goes, a hit dog holler. He just was too close to home. And my thing is, I have no issue with the way he died. Man, what a beautiful way to die. He came and went at the same time. Oh man, beautiful way to die. That makes it even more of a legend to me. I can't speak to his authenticity. Like I said, I wasn't no devout follower of Kevin Samuels. But, you know, when people say he can't be Malcolm, why not? Malcolm didn't have social media. He didn't have what we have right now going on 50-something, 60 years ago. And Malcolm was despised. A lot of black folks was afraid of Malcolm. It's the great Gil Noble, the guy who created the TV show, the long-running TV news show Like It Is, I think, in New York. He used to do his best to avoid Malcolm. Every time he saw Malcolm speaking in Harlem or somewhere in New York, he would run, not just walk, he would run the other way. I think some of his white friends came into town and they wanted to hear Malcolm. And he was surprised. You want to hear Malcolm? Yeah, we want to hear what he got to say. We think he's fascinating. We think we might have some validity. He might have some interesting points we need to consider. So even the white folks that he knew, they had no problem with trying to listen to Malcolm. But he made his business. He made it his business to stay away from Malcolm. It wasn't until Malcolm died he understood what Malcolm really was about. And then he devoted his life, the rest of his life, talking about the legacy of Malcolm on his show, interviewing his colleagues, his lieutenants, you know, people close to Malcolm, trying to find out who really killed Malcolm. He devoted the rest of his time, among other things, to that. But in life, he avoided Malcolm. I remember this beautiful black woman from St. Louis, Mama Colette. I don't know if she's still around, but Mama Colette, she wrote a poem, and I know she talked about when she used to live in Harlem back in the 50s, late 50s. She used to hear Malcolm speak all the time coming out the subway. She would, go past him. He was in a crowd on the street talking and stuff. He was talking, and she thought he was a fool. She said, "Man, this guy is so foolish. He talked this mess all the time." And then one day, something happened to her. And when she got off that subway, she heard Malcolm. That time, that moment, everything made sense what he said. They took her going through some things or going through a thing to get to that point. I remember when I was on the phone talking to a woman that I respect a lot this some years ago. She was making fun of me. She said, "Ron, you so pro-black and activism this and talk all this mess about pro-black this and pro-black that." And man, this is a woman that was very well college educated, had a nice six-figure pharmaceutical sales job, lived in a palatial home, had sports cars and everything. She lived out Southwest. And then not soon after we got the phone, that conversation, she had something happen to where she was attacked by police. Police officers, including a police female, dragged her out the window of her sports car and started, assaulting her in the parking lot of a Burger King near her home. See, she was joking me and clowning me about that stuff, but sometimes you don't have to go through everything to know it's not good for you. I don't have to smoke crack to know that crack is not good for me. I've seen the effects of people who smoke crack going back to the old neighborhood and stuff. I don't need to go through everything. I don't need to have an experience to know that some things ain't good for you or shouldn't be meant for you. But she had to experience that police assault for her to come home, that even though she's college educated, she's making all this money, she got all this resources, Her mom has a very powerful position in the state NAACP. They still could not protect her from being assaulted by this police officer who was well known for uh, harassing and bullying black motorists. So sometimes things got to happen to you in life for you to get the message. So it is important to keep an open mind. Like I said, I'm not, you would assume that I was a follower of Kevin Samuels. I'm not a follower. I'm just saying that when people try to dismiss him being Malcolm, why not? You know, like even Jamaicans couldn't accept Garvey. He had to come to America to find his audience, to find his voice. And he died the way he died, you know, forgotten about over there in London. They say he had a heart attack by reading about obituary that they put in the paper before he died. That's why I say even with the death of Kevin Samuels, the fact that it wasn't even confirmed right away was weird to me. If you think about, you know, the death of Kobe, death of a Prince or Michael Jackson, they was, you know, TMZ was right on it with Michael Jackson, how they made their name. But what I'm saying with Kevin Samuels, it took a day really to confirm. You know, and people are trying to dismiss him then. They're trying to sweep on the rug, but he has made an impact. His relevance is still relevant. I mean, he's made an impact. And he, like I said, he got followers. They already rallying the troops and stuff. They already trying to get their position in the kingdom. It's like when Arnold Rothstein, the Godfather, the guy who trained the Lucky Lucianos and the Myron Lanskys and Frank Costello's, the leaders of the five families, when he passed away unexpectedly during a gambling incident up in the hotel in New York. Or it wasn't like he got shot, I believe he died in the hospital, but his empire was immediately carved up. People were trying to stake their territories. Right now, people are trying to stake their territory in the once kingdom of Kevin Samuels. They're trying to carve their position, trying to get their stuff set up. And it's fascinating to watch. But I just want to offer that. Like I said, people said, well, you know, compare, he's the closest thing we had to a Malcolm or Khalid in the wild. And we even don't care for Khalid Muhammad and all them guys. We act like we love him so much, but we don't. Because we love him. Why are we not producing men of their stature? Men of their commitment to their people. Men who, you know, had their love of family. Who's willing to put their lives on the line for principle. Who was willing to be unpopular to do what was for the best interest of our people in the long run. Why are we not producing people like that? Don't tell them about no voting because they ain't counting all the votes. And that's another, I ain't gonna talk about that here. I just, you know, like Judge Joe Brown, we talked about this a little bit on Sunday, the words I could get in, but it's fascinating. But I'm about to wrap it up. It's perception, but what's reality? He loved his black mama. He paid off her home. His mama was hurt that she didn't know her son was dead until she saw on social media how people was belittling her son. He had a black daughter. I think he'll try to make the world a better place. He was holding black men accountable and black women. If you actually listen to any of like I said, I'm not a follower of anybody like that, but I did listen to several hours of this stuff before he passed. And I had no problem with the things he was saying. I think people have a problem with the things they see when it's showing it like for like, you know, for Instagram and TikTok and World Star, when it's taken out of context. But if you take the time to really listen to what he was saying and how the people wanted his advice, the women wanted his input, the women been lied to all their lives by men they love and trusted and respected. And they wanted one man to tell them the truth. And when I say the truth, I mean a man, be honest about how you feel. I'm not saying that his truth should define your life. I'm saying that he was honest enough in being honest with himself and honest with you about how he felt about what you said about you know, about you. I'm not saying that what he said, you got to wear that around your neck like an albatross. He was a social media personality. He got a black daughter. He got a black mother. I'm not really into bedroom politics like that with people because Latina, a lot of them got Afro roots. I know a lot of proud Afro Latinas. Black is everybody come out of us. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. He's not a hero of mine, but I respect if people do feel like that was their Malcolm X. It's like, okay, with Kobe. I remember when T Mac said that Kobe made a deal. And it was on Rachel Nichols show around the time Kobe died, right? He said Kobe wanted to die young and be bigger than Jordan. Now people say he was the greatest mimic of Jordan, that he mimicked Jordan to a T, like he really act. But to a lot of younger basketball players like a Kyrie Irving, he was their Michael Jordan. So it's always in the eye of the beholder. Kevin was the closest thing to a Malcolm for a lot of these guys out here. For them, not for me. I don't idolize people like that. I don't do that no more. I don't care for all that. But I'm looking at the message, and the messenger is gone now. So it's easy to look at the message, and let's talk about the message. He can no longer offend people. He's no longer here in the flesh. But the message, then I look at the disciples coming out the message. I'm looking at the people that saw him as their leader. He was their George Washington. It is what it is, man. Independence Day, baby. I don't think so, man. I'm in here just to make you think, and I'm not here to please nobody. I got my own struggles to go get through, and like everybody else, my crosses to bear. I think people need to start thinking, because why is it that we can't reproduce men like a Malcolm or Khalid right now? You know, it's a disrespect to humanity that we don't got more men like that around. And when we do have them around, we want them to be around for a limited time only, like a McRib. We want to treat the Malcolms and the Khalids of the world like a McRib sandwich, limited time only. So y'all can miss me with all that. Just keep on watching and listening if you want to. I could compare anybody to anybody. Thank you very much. I compare Kevin Samuels to Jesus. I compare Nipsey Hussle to Jesus. I compare Kevin Samuels to an organized crime figure. He's the godfather of Arnold Rothstein, who created modern mafia, who helped train the guys, taught them how to dress and how to speak, how to network. Why not? It's my platform. Start your own. So I think that's it. I'm trying to go through the. He knew he was limited. He made the most of his time. Most people ain't gonna never find out what they were sitting here to do. A lot of times, once you figure out what you were sitting here to do and do what you're supposed to do, even though you might want to stay longer, the universal God rewards you by a early return home. It's like with Tupac. Tupac only lived to be 25, though. Imagine if Tupac lived to be 53. What would Tupac would have done? Y'all talking about Kendrick Lamar. And Kendrick Lamar is one of the all-time greats. Like I said, I got him number 3 on my list, tied with Ice Cube for a reason. I always thought Kendrick was very talented, very imaginative, brilliant, and he never lets you down. He always give his best. He's always a true Gemini. Interesting, like Tupac. But yeah, Tupac only lived to be 25. Look at all the work he put in. But Kevin Samuels knew he was on limited time. And he made the most of his time. I think a lot of us could learn from that. Even if you don't agree with his message, look at his work ethic. Respect the work ethic. Like Charlie Parker lived to be only 34 years old. Charlie Parker practiced on his saxophone 11 to 15 hours a day for 4 years to get as great as he became and to make his contribution. And once Charlie had a lot of other things left, but he did mission accomplished, Charlie, and they still utilizing what he did some 70 years ago in the music to this day. Yeah, Yeah, the Pat Tillman thing. That's why his family. Thank God for his family, but his family were like a bunch of atheists. I think he was an atheist, but that's why they work so hard to expose that truth. And I'm gonna do some shows about some people, military stuff, because it's gonna Memorial Day is coming up. I want to do these shows. I'm gonna talk about Sister Gloria Davis. Y'all, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Gloria Davis. Look her up. We're gonna talk about her on this platform. And like I said, it's a lot on my mind. I've been getting a lot of downloaded information that I want to share with the people. But sometimes I just I'm trying to get out of my own way, trying to do right by myself, learning from Kevin Daniels to take better care of yourself. Self-care is the best health care. We're gonna talk about Gloria Davis on this show. Y'all never heard of her probably, but beautiful black woman died under suspect circumstances in the middle of a huge scandal, military scandal. They actually killed herself. But anyway, they do this to a lot of our people. Somebody said American Nazi Party. George Lincoln Rockwell was a guest of honor. Elijah Muhammad invited him to, I think, a couple of Savior's days. Malcolm couldn't deal with no George Lincoln Rockwell, but Elijah Muhammad, there's pictures of George Lincoln Rockwell at Nation of Islam's events, Nation of Islam events. And Elijah Muhammad allegedly brought land from Klansmen down in Georgia. Elijah Muhammad's from Georgia. Elijah Poole, October 7th, 1897. We all learn, go somewhere, kick rocks, man, or wherever you are. Bot, whatever. We don't need you around here. It's foolishness. Y'all don't want that. All I'm saying is think for yourself. I actually met Immortal Technique at Malcolm's 90th birthday observation. Was it the 90th? Yeah. I was in New York at the Audubon, the Malcolm and Betty Shabazz Center, where Malcolm got killed. Immortal Technique is a cool brother. I got a picture with him. He was willing to come on my platform, never follow up with him, but I'm very well of Immortal Technique. Actually, I interviewed Dead Prayers a couple of times. One of the people in Dead Prayers, I think M1, it was M1, not Stickman, from Dead Prayers. He came on the show a couple of times, kind of ghosted me after the death of Malcolm X's grandson. But man, I got a lot of stories, man. Yeah, Immortal Technique, cool people. And he one of the best out there. But like I said, we don't, our people ain't hip to that stuff, because the stuff he talk about, we don't want to deal with. That's why it's interesting in Kendrick Lamar that people are receptive to the things that he talk about. So people say the book. Yeah, you go online, Lincoln Rockwell, he might be uncomfortable. They killed Lincoln Rockwell too. They assassinated him. I think it was like 1967 or something. But there are speeches. UCLA got an archive YouTube channel where they got speeches that were done by people like Dick Gregory. You can hear a young Dick Gregory, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., George Lincoln Rockwell, a lot of different interesting characters. Spoke at UCLA back in the 60s. They got all archived. It's available on YouTube at the UCLA channel. You can find it. I mean, I talk about a couple of things on here. I mean, I tell you about Dick Gregory last time. I might go into more detail. I need to write books. That last day I spent with Dick Gregory, like the Mother's Day, last time we saw each other, that could have been a movie by itself. There's so many interesting things that happened that day. But God bless the memory of Bible. I can't believe he did 5 years this August that he's been gone. We love you madly too. And thank you, everybody. We all can agree to disagree. I have no problem with nobody points of views, really. Thank Sister Darian for chiming in. And thank y'all for y'all support. If you like the words from Brother Heard, if you don't like them, if you thought they was interesting and disrespectful, whatever, please spread the word. Subscribe to We All Be TV. Also support the movement. Because things are expensive. I know y'all see what y'all see, but y'all don't know the story. Cash App your support, $R2C2H2. That's $R2C2H2. Also, Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle your support at R2C2H2 at gmail.com. I ain't even running. Boy, this is Mercury retrograde like ain't nobody business. R2C2H2 at gmail.com. That's R2C2H2 at gmail.com. An interesting time tonight. By artists, I got my Attn Wells with my Attn Wells shirt on. Go down below the video description box, YouTube, and you can access our official Teespring site from there. Also, frame and hang artivist art, r2c2h2.com. So I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you all for participating. We are definitely dealing in Mercury retrograde situation. Walter Cronkite. I don't know. You know, Walter Cronkite was part of Bohemian Grove. I ain't no Illuminati type of dude. Now, I had a cousin that was last name Mayfield. I got a lot of Mayfield. Like I said, I'm related to Curtis Mayfield and Julian Mayfield. But we had a cousin out of Chicago. He put in leaders of the Prince Hall Masons at one point. It was like decades ago. But I'll find some information on that. But I'm not a part of the Boule or anything like that. Walter Cronkite, I believe, was Bohemian Grove. But thank you. I appreciate it. I received the report. Yeah, y'all have a great night. And thank y'all for tuning in. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the comments in the morning. I'm just trying to go through this stuff. But thank y'all so much. In the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. Thank you, Sister Duckworth from New Orleans. We love you. We love you madly. Oh, yeah. Signing off. Thank y'all. Love y'all. Great night. And looking forward to the comment section.